Greetings. In this episode of the LightCast, I'm contemplating the word should. Do you think I should? Should I? Well, I think I shall. So while I'm actually now putting a contemplation around this word should into recorded format, this is a multi-year contemplation around this idea of should. For those of you who haven't looked into the etymology or the definition of this word, I'll fill you in and let you know that its roots are in the idea of obligation. So there's an implication that there's some sort of expectation or contract or obligation to be fulfilled when this word is used. So sometimes we use the word in reference to ourselves. I should go do this thing. I should clean my bathroom. That's an example of something I should do today. Right now, actually. Sometimes we ask the question of others, what do you think I should do? And in that way, we are soliciting input to help us make a decision. Ultimately, the decision is still ours, but sometimes getting some feedback or insight or advice can be helpful. Sometimes, though, the word is used to project upon another or a group of people. You should do this thing, or you shouldn't do something else. So in that instance, what we're actually doing is that we are operating as though we have the authority to issue a projection upon another, and that they should comply with our projection, our expectation. So I just want to contemplate that for just a moment, and then we'll put it back into some context. Does it tend to be helpful or supportive to issue these shoulds? And what typically happens when we do that? Maybe I can also ask, how does it feel to you when someone else tells you what you should do? How does it typically feel to you when you tell yourself what you should do? I'll tell you, in the past, I have definitely worked within this energy of should relative to myself and my own activities. There is a standard in the past that I held myself to that involved a lot of shoulds, lots of obligations, mostly obligations that I felt to myself. But sometimes I took things on that I felt like others were expecting of me. And in some cases, that was my projection of their expectation of me. But I'll tell you, as I've become more sensitive to energy, this word should, either when I'm speaking it in my own mind or to myself, or when I catch myself using it in conversation, I'm now sensitive to that to the degree that I feel constriction in my physical body when I use that word. And I'm not using it very much anymore, but when I do encounter myself using the word, I almost always like catch myself and then change my pattern of thought to something that's more supportive and productive. Because here's the deal. We all are on our own path. And my sense is that I wish to be an example of someone who allows the space for everyone to find their natural way of being. And my sense is that the more we can do that, the less pressure everyone will feel to acquiesce to. That's a better way to express it. The less pressure everyone will feel to acquiesce to structures and systems and dogmas and belief systems that are strict and codified. In other words, as we loosen up these projections of shoulds, people become more free to find their own way. And my sense is that everyone's natural way is kindness and love and acceptance and allowance. When should comes into the picture, that puts everybody in defense mode. You should do this thing, and if you don't do it, my retaliation or response is going to be an energy of othering you or separating myself from you, withholding my love from you. Are these things really productive? So what am I proposing? I don't know. I have no proposition. Should I? But what I do want to do is imagine or contemplate with you for a moment about the idea of a world that's far less dependent on expectations and solid, dense contracts and agreements and needs of one another. Is that world possible? My sense is that it is. What would that world look like? Much less friction, much less disappointment, much less retaliation, retribution, judgment, much less criticism, much less shame, much less blame, far more peaceful. Can we as individuals commit ourselves to operating more and more beyond the idea of having any expectations of anyone else at all? Can you imagine that? I'll tell you I can, because I have. And more, as I've said, I'm moving into a space of operating this way. It is possible, I know, because I'm doing it. So, if I don't need anything from you, and I don't have any expectations of you, and I don't issue any shoulds at you, what that means is that our relationship may present itself in the most easy, natural, honest, authentic way possible. Because I'm not letting my shoulds get in the way. It feels so good. So people may say, well, Jared, what about those people over there who are doing those atrocious things? Well, the reality is that when you give your attention to that and you claim that meaning in it in that way, you are bringing, first of all, you're bringing that harsh energy and that density into your own energetic field. Secondly, you're giving your own power and authority over to that external condition because you're needing those people over there to do something different or behave differently in order for you to accomplish your alignment with yourself. This just can't work this way because you can't control them. It won't work. So what you can do is either distract yourself by looking at something that is more in alignment with you, or cultivate the capacity to respect and honor and love and appreciate and allow everyone to be as they are, trust that they are on their path, trust that they would find a natural way of rising to a higher frequency space if they were offered that opportunity. My experience has taught me that this is a way to be that is supportive of everyone's realization and alignment. Am I telling you that you should? Absolutely not. I have no shoulds for anyone, including myself. Okay, thank you for joining me for this brief contemplation of the idea of should. If you have some thoughts or insight around this idea, you should share it with me. Of course, I'm kidding. This is a space where you can, it is allowed for you to share your insight in response to this idea. Okay, very good. Thank you. I'll see you next time.